Hi children, hope you're keeping fine and safe. Hope you enjoyed the VBS song today. Today we are going to learn from the life of Jacob. Jacob was a tricky man, as you know. But before that, I wanted to say that he was born to Isaac and Rebekah. He was the twin brother of Esau. Esau was the firstborn, and then Jacob came out. Jacob was a quiet man, so he was at home and his mother therefore loved him very much. While Esau was a skilled hunter, his father loved the animals he would bring from his hunt. He loved to eat the curry made from that animal. So, as Esau is the first son, he is the person to get the firstborn rights, to get the rights as the firstborn son. To get rights as a firstborn son is an important and a special thing at that time. The child would get the double portion of the inheritance compared to the other siblings. So Jacob wanted that. He would want to get that right. So one day when Esau went hunting and when he came back, he was tired out of hunger. So when he came home, he saw Jacob cooking vegetable soup. He asked Jacob to give a cup of soup to him. Jacob agreed, but one condition. The condition was to sell his firstborn right. So Esau thought, okay, what is the importance or what's the big deal of having the firstborn right? And therefore, out of his hunger and tiredness, he agreed to sell the firstborn right to Jacob. He sold it and he ate the soup with bread and he left. So Jacob was tricky in getting the firstborn right. Sometimes in our lives also we play certain tricks. For example, if you get papers, exam papers with low grades and you need to get a signature from the parents, we tend to sometimes see that maybe the parents are busy. So when they are busy or when the bus is coming, we get it signed so that the parents will somehow sign it and give it to us without telling a lot of advices. The same thing Jacob did here. He knew that Esau would sell it to him. He knew that Esau just wants to fill the stomach and he could do anything or he could ask anything at this time. So therefore Jacob tricked Esau. So Jacob was basically a tricky man. He was not a man of integrity. As years passed by and Isaac became old, his eyes started to get weak. Isaac called Esau, his favorite son, saying that, Esau, I need to bless you. For that come with a prepared meal, delicious meal that I love from the hunts you bring. So Esau goes and prepares. He goes hunting to get the animal and then he comes to prepare. But when Isaac was saying this to Esau, Rebekah was hearing all these. So Rebekah called Jacob and she says that Isaac was planning to bless Esau. So Rebekah says to Jacob that he needs to receive the blessings and therefore to go and get 2 young goats from the field. They were usually shepherds by ancestry. So Jacob goes and gets 2 goats from the field, and then he dresses in the most loved dress of Esau, and therefore he smells like Esau now. And since Esau was a hairy man, Jacob put on skins of goat on his neck and on his arms, just to feel like Esau. And then he comes with the prepared food prepared by his mother to Isaac. Isaac believes that it is Esau because he got the smell of Esau. And he blesses Isaac blesses Jacob. So, and then Jacob leaves. After this, Esau comes with a prepared delicious meal. And then Isaac gets shocked. He asks, who was it who came earlier then? Then Isaac itself understood that it was Jacob. And therefore he says to Esau that your brother tricked him. Esau gets angry. He says that he first took his firstborn right and now he has taken off his blessings. Esau asked his father if there's any blessings left. He said no. And Esau hated his brother because he was a tricky person, a man who was not honest in his acts. So Esau plans to kill Jacob after Isaac dies. Knowing this, Rebekah tells Jacob to leave home and to go to her brother Laban's home. So then his father Isaac asks Jacob to leave and find and get married to Laban's daughter. Therefore, because of his act, Jacob, he leaves home. And on his way to Laban's home, he gets some rest in the night in a place called Luz. He places his head on a rock and then sleeps. There he gets a dream. He sees a ladder touching heaven to earth, and he sees the Lord himself standing besides the ladder. The Lord speaks to him there. He says that he protects Jacob. He would be with him and that he wouldn't leave him. So though Jacob was tricky, God didn't leave him alone. God loved him. God protected him. So we don't see that God gives up on people who are not true. So if we think that we were tricky or we have cheated someone or we have not been honest in our lives, don't think that God is fed up with us or God leaves us. God still loves us. So Jacob wakes up from the dream and then he says, oh, I didn't know that God was here, and now I understand that God is here. So then the next morning he gets up and then he continues his travel and he reaches Laban's home. Laban gets happy seeing his sister's son. And Jacob tells all the story that had happened. He decides to stay in Laban's home and he starts to work for Laban. After a month, Laban thinks that he needs to pay Jacob for the work he do. So he asks Jacob what could be his pay. Jacob answers that he could work for 7 years if Laban gives his daughter Rachel to marry. So Laban had two daughters. The first one was Leah and the second one was Rachel. Jacob loved Rachel. So then Laban agrees. And then Jacob works hard. 7 years are over. Here we see Jacob is being tricked by Laban. Laban does not give Rachel, instead he gives Leah. So then Jacob gets sad about it. And he asked why he tricked. Laban then says that he could give Rachel, but after that he should work for another 7 years. Here Jacob works hard again for 7 years, and by this time he got his wives. He got 11 sons and a daughter. When his 11th son Joseph is born, he asks Laban that he would want to go back to his home. He had been working for Laban all these years. Now he needs to work for himself. So then Laban didn't want to leave Jacob because he realized that when Jacob came and started to help him, Laban started to be successful. He started to become prosperous because of Jacob. He understood that God was with Jacob, so he didn't want to leave Jacob. He asked what he could pay to Jacob. Jacob said, okay, we'll do one thing. Among the sheep and goats, my pay would be the spotted or striped goats or the black sheep. Laban agreed. But do you know what Laban did? Laban tricked Jacob. Again, he hid the spotted and black sheep. So the ones that are left are the stripes. But Jacob faithfully was taking care of the striped goat. Do you know what happened? The offsprings that were born were all either spots, black sheep or stripes. None of them were white or plain. And this was happening because God caused it to happen. Jacob worked hard. He even worked hard during those 7 plus 7 years. He didn't have sleeps in night due to cold, and he suffered the sun in the day. Even when he looked after his flocks, when he looked after Laban's flocks actually, not even one baby goat or baby sheep died. He gave that care to these flocks. And even he took the responsibility if any of the animals were killed by any predators. He used to pay for the loss. He worked hard. He never ate the rams from Laban's flocks. So now all the offsprings were either spotted, striped or black sheep. Laban started to see this, and do you know what did he say? I'm going to change your pay. From now on, you can keep the spotted. I'll take the striped. So therefore his pay is decreasing. But still Jacob agreed to it. And you know what happened? The offsprings that were coming were then all spotted. So after some time, Laban recognizes that everything is all the offsprings are spotted. Therefore he again changes the pay. He'll say, from now on you keep the stripes, I'll take the spotted. But you know what did happen? Again, God does the work here. everything starts to become striped. One day then the angel of the Lord will tell to Jacob to go back to his home. So Jacob by this time gets flourished, rich with lots of goats, sheep, camels, donkeys, servants. And therefore one day he leaves Laban, without telling Laban. Without telling, he leaves with his wife and children, blessed by the Lord. So from this story, we see a tricky Jacob being loved by God and then lives a life of integrity, working hard for Laban. He could have just gone off with Rachel, not even completing 7 years. He could have just stolen some sheep and just bring about the tricky character that he had in him. But he didn't choose to be tricky. Though Laban chose to be dishonest and tricky, to be deceiving, he didn't think that he need to give him back. He stood with integrity. And he stood in integrity in a way that he could ask Laban one day. He asked him, "What wrong did I do to you?" So, integrity is not just words, but it's to be seen in our actions.